Emmett said that you wanted to kind of see how these guys, you wanted to see what they had and how they were gonna perform because you wanted to start camp early. What have you seen so far from those guys, and how have you liked this early start to camp?
Well, I've really enjoyed the early start. I think it's been good for us. We've been able to be outside the last few days, which when we were not anticipating, one way or the other, but it's been good. The guys that have come in that are new, the transfers, you can tell a lot of those guys have played a lot of football. They're mature. They know how to practice. They like to practice. The freshmen getting acclimated to what's expected of them. The guys returning, you can see a lot of guys making a lot of jumps. So it's good, just to be able to install, especially on defense, a new system, and see who's learning it and how they're responding. And I'm glad we did it.
How will you manage your scrimmage dates here, just kind of with the early start and then the spring break coming up ahead?
Yeah, we'll kind of take it day by day. We have a couple of Saturdays left, so we'll do some stuff on those days, and obviously the spring game we'll get some live action there. But really, for me right now, it's as much making sure that everybody kind of understands exactly what's being asked of them. So we had some competitive periods today at the end, just to sort of see how guys respond when live bullets are flying.
I know it's early, but how do you see those QBs kind of feed off each other?
Yeah, I mean they're all really good players, all really good dudes, and so I think the quarterback room, there's a lot expected of them, from Glenn and then from Dana. I think that they're learning each day, coaching each other. So I've been pleased with the group, and it's a really solid room.
We didn't see a lot about Anthony last week, but how do you see TJ taking his starting experience from last year and now pushing it forward?
Yeah, I think when you look at TJ, obviously the physical development is really impressive, and then I think once you've played in the game, and started games, the urgency of how fast you have to play and make decisions, with the rush bearing down on you, that's the biggest transition. And so, he got those games at the end of the year to really have that opportunity, and he's healthy now, and he knows what's expected of him, and so I think he's doing a great job. And I think you could say the same thing for Danny. He had a chance to start this year at Virginia. So all three of those guys, because they've started, they sort of know the speed of the game. They know how fast they have to process things, and I think it changes the tempo with which you play in practice, especially when you're not getting hit in practice.
Danny, how have you seen him just get reacclimated to being back here?
Well, I mean, even when Danny was away, I think some of his best friends were still on this team. I think anytime he was home, he was always around these guys. So I don't think there's a person in the building that wasn't happy to see Danny back here. So to me, he's the true definition of a Cornhusker. He grew up. He loves this program, loves this place, loves the university, loves the state, and he's out there competing, and it's almost like he never left, to be quite honest.
If someone was seeing Calandria practice for the first time, what would be the first things they'd notice?
I think the energy and sort of the playmaking ability that he has. When they bring pressures, he's able to either get the ball out or get outside the pocket and extend plays. So, he plays fast. He's got a lot of, when I say energy, it's easy to be excited. It's hard to have energy every day, and I think he has a lot of energy, and a very competitive player as well.
Coach, with Owen Stoudemire, played in 3 games last year, had some injuries. What's the status right now, and what's the vision for him on the defensive front?
Yeah, I mean, Owen's been a very productive player in college football. Comes from a great program, with the strength coach Fitz at Boston College, and obviously Coach Bill O'Brien. So he's come from a program that does things the right way. So to me, he's a very mature player. He's full go. He's out there playing and practicing, and I think he gives us a big, powerful man inside, and we're excited to have him.
Coach, you were at the combine. Did you get a chance to see Emmett? And when you guys go out there, what's like your main focus when you stop in something like that?
Yeah, so we finished Thursday practice, and we flew up afterwards. It's really different. It used to be you just really went there to support your guys. A lot of teams might have questions. The feedback I've gotten on Emmett, just how well he's interviewed. The feedback I've gotten on Deshaun from the Senior Bowl, how well he's interviewed, I think is really good. As you see scouts and personnel directors and GMs, able to give some insight into who they really are. If there's anything that's out there that maybe is negative, you can hopefully dispel it, because sometimes that happens. So it was great to be there and see them. It's different now in that it used to be I would go every time I've had a player in it. I've always tried to go and do those two things. Now you probably spoke with 30 agents on Thursday night and Friday during the day because they represent high school players now, and so it was a business trip for us. Pat Stewart went, Keith Williams went, Logan Holgerson went. Probably could argue we could have been up there for 3 days. Excuse me, just with the amount of guys that we who represent pro players and also represent college players, able to get a lot of meetings with those guys. Just not only for this year, but for years moving forward.
What do you talk about with
With the agents? Either specific players, so some of them represent guys on our team, or specific players that we're recruiting that they represent, or just more, kind of a global picture. We find out a lot of what other schools are doing. We're still in a day and age where a lot of things that are happening are kind of, you hear rumors about, but some, you can't really call up your competitors and other college coaches and GMs and say, hey, what are you guys doing? You don't get a lot of information that way, but I think talking to agents who rep players, in terms of creative ways other people are doing things, best practices. And, I think the one good thing, one of the many good things is a lot of these agents have been on campus, whether they come on a portal visit, whether they come in the summer now. It used to be, it was just the player and his family. Now sometimes it's the player and his reps. Sometimes it's the player and his family and his reps. So a lot of them have seen the facilities. They've seen, how great Lincoln is, how great, Omaha is. So there's some, they can then carry that forward to other players. When there's maybe some interest in Nebraska, hey, I've been there. This is what it's like. And so I think it's really all of the above, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I have a question about Jason Shiggs. How did you guys kind of find him? He was in Towson, I know you guys have scouts up there, but how is he looking, and then how did you guys find him?
Yeah, so his high school coach obviously sent Mekhi Bear here, sent Justin Evans here. Coach Smoke's one of the best of the best. He's a guy I've known a long time. I trust him, and when he told me he had a player that was in the portal, that hey, you guys would like to take a look at this guy. Just watch the tape. He was on his way to another visit, got that visit canceled, and got him in with us. And I think he's doing a nice job as well. I think for some of those guys who just got here, the first thing you notice is just sort of their habits, their day to day, some of their traits. Now it's really about, hey, within this defense, can you execute it? Can you kind of get all the different things done? And he's learning, he's growing, he's developing. But kind of going back to the previous conversation, just sort of a lot of those relationships with guys that you have over time, whether it's, like I said, whether it's a high school player, it's a 7-on-7 coach, whether it's a trainer, whether it's an agent. We've been fortunate to be doing this for a while, and so we have a lot of friends that we trust. And so he brought him up and watched the tape and really liked what he did. And obviously coming here, just the resources, the food, all the things that we have. You can see that sometimes with the guys who've come from FCS, just the growth that they can make physically, almost in what Kristen does and what Corey does.
I'm curious, how did your new practice fields hold up over the winter, practicing out there in February?
They're fantastic. You have to give a lot of credit to Courtney Gaucher and all the people who do the grass fields. There've been a couple springs here where we couldn't practice outside, because we were doing some work, and I think there was I think snow on the ground as of like Sunday and Monday, and they were out there shoveling the snow off the grass fields, to be able to get them clean. Then, like I said, we were able to. Maybe it was through Wednesday, but we were able to be on the fields on Thursday. And then we kind of went back and forth today a little bit. So really a good investment by the athletic department, I think, to put in good fields.
Like Stoudemire, Dexter Foster missed time last year. How's that picture look? Is he full go to?
Yep. Yes, sir. Yep.
How's that look to you?
Yeah, Dexter's he's a really good player. He's physical. He's athletic. He's made a lot of plays. And I think he's doing a nice job. He's learning everything. It's a different defense for him, and I think he's learning it quickly. And excited about his prospects.
How big is that challenge for Rob? I've never asked you. How big is that challenge for Rob to implement a defense in the spring?
I think he knows his defense. He knows there's not a lot of gray area. It's something that he owns. He's not putting something new in, so I think he's able to teach it well. I think the coaches are doing a good job. So and when you think about a defense, it's everything from the X's and O's all the way down to this is how we teach tackling. Here's when we want you to tackle high, when we want you to tackle low. Here's how we want to disrupt the ball and cause fumbles, and et cetera, et cetera. So he's extremely detailed. And I sit in, I think I said the other day, I sit in his position meetings just so I can hear, not even just the overall, but just how he's teaching the minute details. And I think he does a great job. And I think we're pretty far ahead of where I would have hoped to have been.
Dana Holgerson said this like right after you had your presser a couple weeks ago about Jamal Rhule, that he might run as well as any of your running backs. What did he mean by that? What have you seen from that pressure?
I'm not sure what he meant to be. I mean, I think all of us have been really impressed with Jamal. I think he's a natural runner. He's a freshman, and he's already 210, 208, 210. So he's big, he's fast, he has good vision, very conscientious. I was leaving the other night, and I think it was Wednesday night. He was coming in to go back through the install one more time and catch some balls in the jug. So he wants to play. So I think he's a really good prospect and a guy that is competing to play.
Does the fact that there's not another portal window coming up change how you talk with players about where they slot in on their positions, or how you guys handle reps in practice?
We've always tried to be a group that in the spring gives everyone it goes 3 deep because I think our job is to give players reps. So I don't know that it's necessarily changed that. I mean, they could come in tomorrow and say, hey, there's a new calendar. Things change so fast. So I don't necessarily think it changes that. I think even on the first team, I've always preferred to see, hey, send these 2 D tackles out first. Either the next period or the next practice, send these 2 D tackles out first. Let's get a bunch of pictures of a lot of guys, getting reps with both the ones and the twos, or so we're. Like I said, we're in an evaluation phase of both of trying to teach them their technique, teach them the X's and O's on their side of the ball. At the same time, also see what they can do and tailor things to them. Jasier Whittington, he does special things differently than maybe Riley Van Poppel does, right? So we want to play to their strengths, and so we want to get a lot of guys reps. So I don't think it's necessarily changed. I think if anything, it's kind of reinforced. Kind of how we've always wanted to do it, of getting three groups reps and giving every player reps every day.
What are your thoughts on the portal or the targeting penalty being adjusted potentially? I know that's something that this week they were talking about changing, where the suspension wouldn't carry over to potentially the next game.
Yeah, I think the it'll all come down to the detail of it and how it's executed, but. You don't do it in the pros. You don't do it in high school. You only do it in college, where you eject the player. And when they first did it, I thought it had a great change the game for the better. The knockout, blowout shots are gone. Now what you see is a lot of times where kids just trying to make a good tackle, and the ball carrier changes his level, and it ends up being targeting. And so they've had a lot of over the years. Hey, should we do targeting 1, targeting 2? What should we do? I think this is probably a really good move in the right direction. If just waiting to see how it kind of plays out. But I do think that this is a good thing if it happens.
With Whittington specifically, he's obviously not as big as others, his position, but what did you see from him that makes you think that he can take the next step in his development against Big Ten offensive lines?
Yeah, he's an explosive man. Watching the film of him at Pitt and then seeing him out here now, no concerns about his size. He's got great explosive movements. He can move laterally. And he kind of plays at one speed. He plays 100 miles an hour, and so I loved his tape, and I've really liked what I've seen so far.
Was today the first time in full pads?
No, that was I think we went Tuesday, Thursday, and today all in pads.
Nebraska hired flag football coaches. Just what are your initial thoughts about those hires?
Well, I don't know both Coach Sowers. I obviously shot Coach a text. Immediately was like, hey, we're here to help in any way. But when I saw the hire and heard that that's what, the direction we were going, makes a ton of sense to me. Winners know the game at a high level, have a tremendous pedigree already of playing this emerging sport at a really high level. So, you know, they'll join a great group of head coaches here, and they seems like they've done a lot of great things so far. And so to me, looks like it's a home run. Good to see you guys.